I'm going to start by introducing myself. I'm Lee Campbell. I'm one of the founding members of the Digital Youth Council. And the Digital Youth Council was founded last year during the Excited conference, which took place in May. And it brought together some of the top 12 young people in technology across Ireland. And we're actually the first Digital Youth Council in Europe. The aim of the Digital Youth Council is to promote the views of young people in the national digital strategy and in the implementation of technology in education. And this is an extremely important role that young people have to play in the future. So, the presentation is going to be based on two reports, one by myself and one by Harry. And basically, we interviewed just over 120 students from across Ireland, ranging in age between 12 and 18. And we looked at what is the typical teenager downloading, listening, reading, and watching. What are their main sources of information, what is shaping the behaviour, and then what that means for you as content providers and content creators in terms of opportunities and challenges. So, I'm sure you all have and know what this is. It's a set-top box, and I think it symbolises how people in Ireland traditionally watch their TV. But what I want you to consider for a minute is the new set-top box. And the reason I say this is because it's not the set-top box of the future, it's the set-top box of now and of my generation. Because when we actually asked, how are you most likely to watch TV shows, 48% answered that they view most of it via online streaming services or video-on-demand services such as Netflix or RTE Player, for example. Now, I know you can say, well, the other 52% are still using traditional services like cable or satellite. And that is very true. But it actually reveals some very interesting trends in terms of how young audiences are beginning to view their content. And some of it can be explained by the busy lives that many people in society live today, because it's no different for teenagers. However, if you actually delve deeper into some of the results we're going to talk about and look at them, you'll see that there's a real correlation between the integral part social media plays in our daily lives and these results. So that leads me on to my next slide, which is where do we usually first hear about TV programs. And actually what you'll find is that the majority come from online sources. Well, not the majority, sorry, 1/3 come from online sources. This is broken down to 16% via YouTube ads, 14% via friends on social media, and 6% via social media pages and ads. And I believe the significance of this is, of course, that it's the ability to go from simply hearing about a TV program to actually being able to watch it on video on demand or online streaming services, all in the click of a button. I've heard many young people described as having the attention span of a mouse click or a scroll recently, and I think this is very true for a lot of younger audiences. So I think it's about content providers focusing on this multiple platform experience of being able to go from just simply hearing about it to watching it all in the space of a click of a button, because young people want everything at their fingertips. Likewise, we also looked at the same when it comes to watching movies, and 25% did say they go to the cinema to watch the majority of their movies. However, more interestingly, 37% said they viewed the majority of them on Netflix or online streaming services, with another 7% saying they use online rental services. So this is quite a big amount that you are using legal online services. And it's very, I suppose, it raises a very interesting question in terms of, for content providers, into why some people might be pirating content. Is it because they're not available on the platforms we want soon enough? Because what we've seen in this trend is that young people want to engage in this type of content on these platforms. So I think there needs to be a major discussion around licensing in terms of how quick it comes from the box office to our platforms online, because that's really what we want. And again, we looked, where are you most likely to hear about new movies? And it's broken down across a number of different platforms again. Television took 36%, YouTube ads took 27%, social media ads at 17%, friends on social media at another 15%, billboards 3%, and print media and radio took 1% each, giving online sources just under 50% of the share. But the interesting part I found about this is that we're getting more and more of this information from online, and I'm sure you all remember looking up at cinema listings in the old in the local newspaper, because I certainly do. And it raised the question for me as to why print media scored so low at only 1%. Why are we not hearing about these things? Is it because we're simply not engaging or reading or interested in current affairs anymore? So we asked exactly that question. And surprisingly or not surprisingly for some, 52% said they do have an interest in news and current affairs. And of this, 35% said they're getting the majority of this from social media, with another 8% via news websites. Again, giving online a big majority here. So I'm going to show you the short clip, which I hope you enjoy, and I'll explain its significance.
I've been sitting here for nearly a minute without entertainment.
Change the battery in the remote. The one on the left.
The one on the left? Well, that's just spooky.
Not really. I have the knack.
The knack?
For technology. My mom says I always have.
I'm worried about little Dilbert. He's not like other kids.
What do you mean?
Yesterday, I left him alone for a minute, and he disassembled the TV, our clock, and the stereo.
That's perfectly normal. Kids take things apart.
Oh! The part that worries me is he used the components to build a ham radio set.
Oh dear.
Is that bad?
Normally I'd want to run an EEG on him, but the machine isn't working. It's worse than I feared.
What is it?
I'm afraid your son has the knack.
The knack?
The knack. It's a rare condition characterized by an extreme intuition about all things mechanical and electrical, and utter social ineptitude.
Can he lead a normal life?
No. He'll be an engineer.
No!
There. Don't blame yourself.
Will it go away over time?
It might, but pray it doesn't. If an engineer loses the knack, the results can be devastating.
And in further news, you might want to get out those...
Thanks for filling in for our regular doctor on such short notice.
I was in the neighborhood.
So I hope you all enjoyed that, and the reason I showed you that was because I believe my generation also have the knack for technology. We're no longer just content viewers, we're also content creators. We've all seen the rise in platforms like Vines and YouTube videos over recent times, with a lot of content created by young people. And it is for this reason we've come to expect content providers and content creators to engage us and utilize the platforms we enjoy the most. And there's some of the platforms I've just been talking about. But it is really important to be able to stand out to young people. So what do young audiences want, and how can you stand out to them? Well, first I'm going to talk to you about the devices that these young people view all of this content on. And unsurprisingly, the majority said their mobile phones at 48%, followed by 28% on tablets, 19% on laptops and PCs, and then another 4% who said they use smart TV-like devices or Apple TV devices to actually view the majority of this content. And I think that'll be an emerging market in terms of watching television and movies in the future. So it's really key for to put a lot of investment in your platforms across these, because this is essentially what the future will be. So next we found the 4 biggest social media platforms in our research were Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram. But the interesting part here is actually that when you ask what platform do you use the most, Snapchat came in at 38%, beating Facebook, which scored 33%, and that may be surprising for some. That was followed by Twitter at 16% and Instagram at 11%. So again, these are majorly significant platforms for content providers and content creators to really invest in and have their presence stand out here. And there are a number of ways to do that. Because although 51% say they regularly watch videos which are 5 minutes or longer, another 54% want more 15 to 40-second clips of news and entertainment in their news feeds and will be more likely to watch them. So this provides, I suppose, a great platform for you to get a part of your story told. But then again, it is only part of your story, and you need them to click to watch the rest of it onto the sites that make the revenue for you if they enjoy it. So we asked that, and the majority at 65% said they would be likely to click if they enjoyed the clip after watching it. So that bodes well for any content providers or creators who want to embrace these trends. There's also a prime viewing time for young people, and that is between 6 to 8 p.m. This is when we do the most watching, reading, listening, and downloading. And I think some of this can be actually explained by the fact that we're after coming home from school at around 4 o'clock. We've done our homework, done our study, and it's time to unwind, I suppose, and this is why we do most of it here. So that was the majority of my presentation, but before I finish up, I'm going to finish with some top tips. So, as I've been explaining throughout, You need to ensure that the content you provide across, whether it be TV, radio, etc., needs to be available online via video-on-demand services, podcasting services, if you don't want to limit your market in terms of teenagers, because this is really where we want to view the majority of our content. And this leads into tip number 2 as well, which says the content should be available at every touch point. Young people want a seamless, multiple platform experience. They no longer just want to watch the television or watch a movie. They want to engage with it on social media platforms. And I think you should enable this because, again, it leads into tip number 3. Content that moves is power and will be significant power in the future. So it's all about, I suppose, creating the likes of these short teaser clips, because the more they share, we've seen the significance of how friends influence what their friends are watching on social networks. So it's really important to invest here. Something I didn't allude to actually was tip number 4, but that's how there's major opportunity for developing news platforms which are targeted more or tailored towards teenagers. Because actually another question we asked was, how do you find news and current affairs? And a lot of them actually said, around 50% said that they found it slightly confusing with not enough background information, because they might not have been watching the news for a long period of time. It's hard to just tune in. So there's a real opportunity for developing a platform here, and I'd be really interested in actually working on something like that. And tip number 5 is another thing I didn't allude to in my presentation, but it is that young people want to see more educational content, just over 48% of them. We've seen the rise of the likes of Khan Academy and everything, and this has led young people wanting more of this. So I think with the emergence of technology and education, there will be a major opportunity for this in the future, and it is a really emerging market. Before I finish up, I'm going to leave you with a quote, and that is from an innovative musician called Laurie Anderson, and I think she sums up the importance technology plays in media today, and not only today, but will continue to do in the future. And that is, technology is the campfire around which we tell our stories. Thank you very, very much, and if anyone wants to contact me, my details are here, or I'll be on the first Q&A session, I think, at around 11:15. So again, thanks to the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland and Digital Biscuit, in particular Fernanda, for all her help today. Thank you.